Hello, appreciate you all tuning in to check out a video on a little device that I designed to take the shock out of the recoil out of your camera when you're trying to film your own hunt. What the problem is there is not a shock-proof, zoomable video camera that you can mount on a weapon that, like I said, that is zoomable. And you need that zoomable capability depending on the situation that you're in, the hunting situation that you're in. If you're hunting some coyotes or whatever you're after, and they're 200, 300, 400 yards away, you need to be able to zoom in to that distance and get it just right so it fills the camera the way that you want it to. If it's a small little lot of woods, maybe 50 to 100 acres, you're going to make that picture a little bit smaller because of the situation. If you're hunting in the woods, you're going to want that picture like on 1 power. Just depends on the hunting situation. There's no camera out there that's available like that. All these brands, these different brands, I've tried about 6 of them. Their problem is they have their low light capability is not very good because they have such a small video pickup in them. I think it's what they call them, CDIs or CCIs. These other type, like the one that I use on my device that I've designed, and I call it the No-Shok Xtreme. Even got a name for it. It has a larger video pickup tube, and so you're going to have a better picture in a low light situation, which is what us hunters have to deal with, is low light. Now I'm going to take the camera up here and let you look at it without showing the mechanism, because that is I'm looking at putting a patent in on this thing, but I can show you how it works. But this device will work. It works really well on an AR because of the Picatinny rails up here. You can hook it just about anywhere you want, and that's what I designed it for. But it will work on a bolt action rifle if you have a Picatinny rail scope cap covers. A lot of them, like the Burris, will have those, and some other brands will have them. And then it will mount, instead of here, it will mount up on top of that Picatinny rail on your scope caps. Let's see here. I wrote this down so I can make sure I get most of it out that I can get out. I'm going to have a demo video to show you what you can do. If you've looked at any of my videos, look at the ones this year, because I've all but perfected my little device, my video No-Shok Xtreme, and it doesn't rattle, and it will soak up the vibration of a rifle. This is a 308, so that's got a pretty good kick to it. And a 223, no problem. And my little 17 HMR, no problem at all. You can almost shoot it without that. But these cameras, they're sensitive. JVC's even got a new one out that said it's shockproof. It's not shockproof enough even for my 223. I still have to use this device that I made, my video No-Shok Xtreme. I'm gonna take it up to the camera here and let you look at it, or bring the camera to it. Woo! Okay, this is my little invention that allows you to have a zoomable camera that's shockproof, because these little cameras are not shockproof. And if you want to do solo hunting, you're going to have to come up with something so that the end video that you get is going to be watchable, and the subject's not going to be too small in it, which all of them are. I've tried them all. This is my device. This is the video No-Shok Xtreme, I call it. What it does with this off-the-shelf bracket right here, it's got a Picatinny rail device here that unscrews with a hex head wrench, and then that mounts on the Picatinny rail on the weapon. And what happens, the way this thing works, when it's sitting on the weapon, and I'll show it mounted on the weapon too, this actually moves. If you can see that or not, and then it actually moves. So when the gun goes back, the camera sits still. Bang, bang, like that. It'll sit still. And it doesn't need to be much, and it works perfectly. And there's no rattle in it that you will pick up when you're videoing your hunt, especially when you're walking up to the animal or walking around with the camera on your gun mounted to the weapon. But it works really well. I've used it now, and it's gone through several iterations and upgrades, but it works really well. But now I'm going to switch the camera over to showing you how to install it. So I'll be right back. Alrighty. Now what I do is you take this device, my device, and you loosen up a little Picatinny rail attachment device, and you put it on the Picatinny rail. It's pretty self-explanatory unless you're not familiar with the Picatinny rail. And it just sits there, just like that. So when the gun recoils back towards you, it stays stationary. It actually moves, but in relation to the gun, it stays stationary, and it'll absorb that shock. And it works great. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, this little piece right here is off the shelf that I buy, and then put my device on it. And you notice it's got different holes in it, and it's got a little bit of O-ring type washers. So when you tighten it down, it'll push up against it and it won't move. And you can move it out, or you can move it in. And when you get it right where you want for your particular rifle, if you want, you can cut this little piece off if you want. I choose to leave it long, depending on the situation or the rifle. But it does have that flexibility. Now another question people are going to have is, will this fit my rifle? Well, since it will move back and forth because of this device, off-the-shelf device thing that I mentioned before, it will move back and forth on your gun, so it can fit that way. Sitting up on top of the scope cap, if you have that Picatinny scope cap. But also, you said, well, how is this thing, if I zoom in, is this thing going to be zoomed in the right, is the subject going to be in the center of the view? And so yes, it will, and that's one reason that this is not welded to this. It's not permanently attached. It's got a bolt under here, and that's what attaches it to this. It's got a what do you call it, one of those nylon bolts, so it won't come loose, and that will allow this thing to turn this way for minute adjustments. And also you say, well, what about up and down? If it has to, and I've never had one have to do it, but if you had some kind of a strange setup on yours, you could actually bend this down just a teensiest little bit. It don't take nothing to bend this for it to affect it out there. So it's adjustable in this axis and this axis. It'll adjust this way and up and down. So that feature I designed into it for different guns, so it'll fit different weapons. Now onto the subject of pricing. I would like for you to email me at wiggs, WIGGSAN at embarq.com, wigsan at embarkmail.com. I'll have that on this video too, so you can see it. I'll have it at the end to discuss the pricing of it. It will be it will hinge on which kind of camera that you want. If you want a $300 or $400 camera, it's going to cost more than a couple $100, $150 camera. This particular camera is a factory refurb, and you can get them for about a third the price, and they work just fine. It's a 720p. It's got an internal hard drive. Don't need to use any micro SDs or any SD cards on this. Got plenty of recording space, storage space. The battery on them is a standard battery. This, for example, most of them last about 2 hours. This is going to last about an hour and 50 minutes, it claims. You can get on eBay, you can get a replacement batteries for these for about for about $20, and it will quadruple or quintuple the amount of time. I've got a larger battery on the one that I use, and it's about twice as thick as this battery, but it'll last for almost 6 hours. So if you forget to charge it, or if you're out on a trip or something like that, you'll be able to go do quite a bit of videoing without worrying about your battery running down. So that's something that you can upgrade yourself, or I can do that for you and just add that little bit of a price on there. I'm not trying to get rich doing this, but I want to make a little bit of money. It takes me about, I have to make these all by hand, this device here, and put all these little springs on it and adjust it. It takes me a better part of a day, about a good 6 to 8 hours, depending on how it's going, because I do it all by hand. But I mean, it really works. It really works really well. I've had several people kind of interested in it, you know. But if you're interested in it, like I said, contact me. My email that I'm going to leave at the end of this, and I'm going to reference a couple of videos that I've done using my camera, so showing how you can stay on your animal or whatever what you're after, and have it zoomed in, and it just comes out so much better. It just works really well. It's tight up against the weapon. It looks pretty good on there, in my opinion. You can take this and camo it, do whatever you want to do. But I think that's just about everything on this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to message me on these, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Like I said, when I make these, I'm going to make them one at a time, and I'm going to offer them at a pretty decent price. But just let me know about that. And right now, I'm going to go over to some videos of using this. And when I drop the hammer on it and it fires, you can see that it just wiggles just a little bit because of it moving the whole thing, but it doesn't go out of focus. It doesn't damage your camera. If you try putting these directly on your rifle, just using this device instead of using some kind of a shock absorber, you'll damage the camera. I've done it. So I'm going to get a little bit of that video on there and let you look at that. I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this and consider buying one of these, because I think it'll really work really well for you. So thank you a lot, very much for your time for taking a look at it. Thank you very much.